Tansei, Anin, hello, bonjour. Good morning, everyone, tuning in from across Turtle Island. Bonjour à tous ceux et à celles qui ont nous écoutant dans tout Turtle Island. Je m'appelle
Bonjour à tous et ceux et celles qui nous écoutent dans toute l'île de la Tortue. Je m'appelle Tracy Leost et je serai votre animatrice pour la célébration nationale de l'édition 2023 Imaginez un Canada. Elle parle dans sa langue. Vous pouvez vous asseoir maintenant. Donc,
Red River Métis young person from Saint Laurent, Manitoba, right here in Treaty 1 territory, the heart and homeland of the Métis Nation. I come from the flower beadwork people. I'm a first generation and second generation day school survivor, first generation urban Indigenous, and a first generation university graduate. I'm humbled to be named one of Canada's most decorated Indigenous young people, and I am so happy to be here today amongst each of you. I'm going to be your host for this year's Imagine Canada's 2023 National Celebration. The Imagine Canada National Celebration is being broadcasted in English and French over the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation's NCTR YouTube page. If you know anyone who would like to attend, you can share the YouTube links as the entire program will be available after the conclusion of today's live broadcast. La célébration nationale d'Imaginer un Canada est diffusée en français et
Imaginez le Canada a été lancé, donc Actually, the celebration is being broadcast in English and French or National Center for the Truth and Reconciliation YouTube's page. If you know anyone who would have liked to have attended, please share the YouTube links. The entire program will be available after the conclusion of today's live broadcast.
2016 with the aim of sharing youth visions of a reconciled Canada. Since then, the Centre has had thousands of participants and received hundreds of projects which have expressed a diversity of ideas, all with the same goal of bringing us together under a shared vision of reconciliation. In 2021, the NCTR relaunched the program with an art and essay stream and a reconciliation project stream. This year, the NCTR received art pieces such as drawings, paintings, digital videos, essays, photographs, posters, and so many more. The center also received project plans that detailed all sorts of creative ideas, from public art illustrations like full-scale murals, education assemblies, cultural workshops, and many more. It was immensely inspiring for the selection committee at NCTR to look through all of the youth submissions, given the exceptional thought and emotion behind each work. The center is excited to honor 14 submissions from the art and essay stream and 11 submissions from the reconciliation project stream. All 25 projects will be recognized in a digital art booklet, while the 11 reconciliation projects that receive funding between $1,000 and $1,500 to turn their visions into a reconciliation reality. Over the course of the next few hours, the National Celebration Program will consist of opening remarks from special dignitaries such as Minister Mark Miller, Christina Sear, Brenda Gunn, and from our friend to the center, a residential school survivor, Elder Betty Ross. We'll have a keynote address from Tasha Spillett Sumner, which is now Dr. Tasha Spillett Sumner. And of course, we will hear from the youth themselves about their projects and their visions for reconciliation. Before I invite Elder Betty Ross to open the national celebration in a good way, I would first like to acknowledge the land we are standing from and all of the territories where our audience is joining. We stand today on Treaty 1 territory, the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe and Innuak. These lands are also part of the unceded territories of the Dakota and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We stand committed to reflecting on the continued legacy of the original peoples of this province, including the Ithinamak, Dene Saloon, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and Nakota people. We also like to honor the elders, survivors, and acknowledge the nations, treaty territories, and unceded territories on which we all conduct our daily lives. From wherever you are joining us today, welcome. Now, I would like to welcome Elder Betty Ross to start us off in a good way with an opening prayer. If you are able, please remove your headwear for the prayer.
Egusainen tuuteemak. Tapaginanas kumitnaanus gagitsigisigat. Kaperitap miak, minagaperitsikapawistawiak. Umagati, animutsigatek. Uskatsak. Kaviwapat nusketsik. Aisikiskenitake kumeneu. Niga tispanik. Awan kimini gawin sistemao. Eukuke apat siya gawanuts. Tat ngantumaw ngait namo agi semantu tape nanaskum tape saweni me kuak miswe kimamiten inisikan na kiawi na kita tsago na kanus kagi sigisigat kita menuki ugat tuak kage nage kon tamenu tatapi sigupan ni kanus kagi sigisigat nanaskum anuts hepe tap mitagok. Good morning, everyone. Elders, youth, moms and dads, dignitaries are here too. What a beautiful day today. We are so honored to be here today to honor and listen to the young people as they present their views about reconciliation, the future of reconciliation. So at this point, I'm Elder Betty Ross. I'm from Michigamak Cree Nation, Cross Lake First Nation. I speak my language very fluently. And whenever I do the opening prayers, I use my first language, which is Cree. So that's what I'm going to be doing as I offer the sacred tobacco to Creator. So at this point in time, I invite you, each and every one of you, to close your eyes and go deep within the recesses of your being. There you will see that ember of light. Focus on that ember of light and be grateful for who you are and where you are today, where you came from, why are you here, and where are you going. I will call upon the Creator for His blessings in my first language. Awe ko sana ki seman tu ginanags kumitnan anus kay gitsigisigat. Tato kay kisepa amina tato tepiskaw kawaste na mawiag utaski kita menopumutiag. Ito ni ginanags kumitnan ki seman tu eni gane ni mitak minesagitak. Pag sa ni mitak ki seman tu kita pesit sa watsi kita tuskanaganag nukuminanak ni musuminanak. Winawan te pewas kane kapawistagwa ako kumanus kay gitsigisigat. Wino te pesa weni migwago misweni mamit to nenitsi kan nagniyawi nang tatsa ako na umautagat at tapia unakamu ako pagamaski ko Kristo. Inugugay minenita magiseman tu minapego minupagtatamu aga minupumuti ako taski kinanas kumitnan kisagitnan. Ano kuminanak ni muso kuminanak muna giwap mitnan maga ke musitnan ewas kani ka pawegan muska gitsigisiga pesa weni mi kage na utagapiag niwapi ko minanak no seminanak tanskuta pananak kitawaste kage gene mes kanan itegati tuteak minaniginan kaisia kitawaste kage kita menopmutiak tawitsi tuak tanisu kamatuak ego sigagi sinagat na mawiya kisemantu uma matsin ego anus kap mitsama anus kitsigisigaw uskatsak wistaw epe witap megwago ego mawat sa menoseg ego sane nanas kumunan tinanas kumitnan ki mamitsi mitnan nugo menanak ni musu menanak minakitom kisemantu kinanas kumitnan ki mamitsi mitnan ki sagitnan awitsewi agage ka saweni mi agage ke tato pagitatamu tato tame agaski nanas kumunan egusani kaya ke minagage ke amen. Thank you very much egusani.
Miigwech, Elder Betty Ross, for your prayer. Before we move on, I'm just curious. I didn't get a chance to meet anyone this morning. Can you just raise your hand if you're here from Treaty 1? This is your home. Okay, there's a couple of you. Good morning, everyone. And then can you raise your hand if you are from another territory or a nation and have traveled to Treaty 1 to join us? Okay, there's the majority. Well, welcome everyone to Treaty 1 territory, my homelands. I'm not sure if you know the people sitting beside you, but we're going to be spending the whole morning together. So maybe before we move on, if you just want to turn to both of your neighbors and say good morning and maybe introduce yourself. If you don't know who they are, we can get comfortable. Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. So before we move into the in-person speakers, we would like to play two special messages. One from the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, Mark Miller, followed by a message from Karina Gould, Member of Parliament for Burlington.
Kwekwe, can't say hello, bonjour. Thank you for inviting me to share a message with you today from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation people. Congratulations to all the students who participated in Imagine Canada. Merci pour le travail rigoureux que vous avez effectué afin de soumettre vos idées.
Thank you for the rigorous work that you did, and thank you to share your creative imagination with us. Reconciliation.
Straight path forward. It requires continual engagement, modifying approaches as priorities emerge and evolve, and hearing from many different perspectives. This is especially true when listening to the voices of future generations. It's your ideas, solutions, and determination that will shape Canada's future, and I'm impressed to see the level of engagement and care that each of you have for building a stronger and reconciled country. From personal experience, I can tell you how important it is to continuously consider innovative ways to work toward reconciliation. Seeing what you all as young visionaries have achieved through the Imagine Canada program makes me look forward to that future. Today, we gather to celebrate 14 incredible works of art and essays and 11 funded community projects. These works exemplify your talents, visions, and passion to create a better Canada. I'm excited to watch as your projects make real change in your communities and see how your ideas advance reconciliation across Canada. Thank you to the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. Merci au Centre National pour la Vérité et la Réconciliation.
Thank you for the Center of Truth and Reconciliation.
The chance to amplify the brilliant vision of young people and advance reconciliation for everyone. Félicitations encore une fois à tous les participants. Cheers to your achievements. Take care, prenez soin de vous, and I wish you a wonderful afternoon of
Merci.
Merci, merci. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karina Gould, the Member of Parliament for Burlington and the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. Welcome to the Imagine a Canada National Celebration. Thank you to the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation for bringing together people from coast to coast to coast. I want to first congratulate all the youth and project leaders here today who were selected to participate in the 2022-2023 Imagine a Canada program. As educators, you have provided your students with the opportunity to learn about the history of their country and how we can and should engage in reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. I also want to give a special shout out to the students from St. Mark in my home riding of Burlington. Congratulations on being honored for your work today, and know that what you are doing is making a difference at home and across the country. Congratulations again to all of you for being selected, and enjoy the celebration. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
I would now like to invite the Associate Vice President Indigenous of the University of Manitoba, Christine Cyr, to offer opening remarks. Christine is a proud Red River Métis woman. She grew up in the north end of Winnipeg in a large family. Christine overcame the obstacles of poverty by focusing on education. As a single mother, she finished high school with honors, then graduated from the University of Manitoba with a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in Native Studies and minoring in chemistry. She has worked at the University of Manitoba for 23 years. Christine is a traditional woman who attends, participates in, and leads ceremonies. She lives in Winnipeg, surrounded by her husband, 4 children, and great-grandchildren. Please help me give a warm welcome to Christine.
Tanchikia, Ganamik Nuakwe Indigenous, La Vie Kapaput Indigenous, Misabe Totem, Winnipeg and Donji. Good morning to all of you. It's so lovely to be here. I can't really see you because the bright lights are shining in my eyes, so that's different. I wanted to start off by saying thank you so much to our Elder Betty Ross for that prayer, for saying it in the language, and for putting us in a good space, in a good way to hear the prayer and accept the prayer, closing our eyes. And I am so grateful for all those teaching moments, that reminder to think about how grateful we are. I'm so grateful to be who I am, and I'm so grateful to be where I am. And being here this morning feels like the most important place that I'm going to be all week. So I'm so honored to be here and to be asked to share a few words. I'm Red River Métis, and my family comes from several communities in Manitoba, including St. Laurent. So Tracy, we might be cousins. We're probably cousins. Welcome to all of you who traveled here. I'm so glad that you made it here safely and that we're in this beautiful air-conditioned space today. Imagine a Canada. 3 small words that pose a very big question about reconciliation. The Imagine a Canada program invites kindergarten to grade 12 youth from schools across the country to imagine a reconciled Canada through art, essays, and other representations. Today, I'm so honored to be here to celebrate all of these efforts. I heard that there were about 1,600 submissions, and I'm especially excited to see the 25 that have been finalists, that have been named as finalists. I'm often struck by the thoughtful, visionary ideas and views of young people. You heard in my introduction that I have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. I have many nieces and nephews, so I know firsthand that children come into the world with so much knowledge and curiosity and hope. The youth of today are the next generation of leaders, and it's up to us, the older ones, and it's weird to put myself in that group now, to empower them, to sound their voices, and to listen to them when they do. Yesterday, I was at a big event where leaders like Grand Chief Jerry Daniels and Ashley Richard talked about their work as youth activists. They created and they demanded a platform to tell us about the world that they wanted to build for the health and success of our communities. Now they're older and they're still advocating for our communities. They believe, they know that they have the power to create the change that they want to see in the world, just like each one of you. And you are powerful. Yesterday, I also attended a graduation celebration at the University of Manitoba, and Dr. Mary Simon, who's our Governor General of Canada, the very first Indigenous Governor General of Canada, and she told us that reconciliation can be hard because sometimes what I believe is reconciliation might be different than what you believe is reconciliation. And so we have to do a lot of talking. We have to do a lot of work together to find a good way forward. She reminded us that we have to learn from the past and recognize that we all have a part to play in shaping our country's future. It's up to us, every single one of us, to advance reconciliation in our homes and our schools and our communities. Our history is complicated and it's painful and we're still healing. It's important that we always remember our past and acknowledge the harms that have occurred every time we imagine a Canada. Every single one of us is affected by our history, and every single one of us is responsible for our future. When I look at all of these projects, and I'm so excited to hear more about them today, I see the passion, the vision, and the hope that lives in the eyes, in your eyes and in your voices. Strong, young, powerful people. I know that the future of our country is in good hands, and I'm so grateful to be witness to it. Marcy.
Marcy Christine. Next, I would like to invite Research Director of the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation, Brenda Gunn, to offer remarks. As a proud Métis woman, University of Manitoba Law professor, Brenda Gunn combines academic research with activism, pushing for greater recognition of Indigenous peoples' inherent rights as determined by their own legal traditions. Wow. After earning a GD at the University of Toronto and an LLM in Indigenous Peoples Law and Policy at the University of Arizona, Brenda worked at a community legal clinic in Guatemala on a case of genocide submitted to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. She has also worked with Manitoba First Nations on Aboriginal and treaty right issues and continues to be actively involved in the international Indigenous peoples movement. Welcome, Brenda.
Good morning. That light really is bright, Christine. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. I want to thank Elder for starting us in a good way, particularly when it's rush time to get somewhere in the morning. It's really nice to have that moment to stop and reflect and make sure that we're all truly present here today, because this is somewhere I'm so excited to be. I want to acknowledge the drum that let us in. And most importantly, I want to acknowledge all of the honorees here today. As I said, this is a day I've been looking forward to for months. As was noted in the introduction, I'm Brenda Gunn. I am Red River Métis. I have a 4-year-old daughter who keeps me on my toes a lot. She very well might be smarter than me and her dad. And I'm so excited that I get to represent the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation up here today. As some of you may know, the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation is the body that continues the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. And we are based here in Winnipeg, hosted by the University of Manitoba. We have the privilege and honor of having an archive of all of the materials that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission gathered, including the statements by survivors and all of the artifacts that were donated to the Bentwood Box. We continue to engage in research to promote healing and reconciliation in Canada. And of course, we engage in education programming. And I will say, from my perspective, Imagine a Canada is a highlight of the work that we get to do. Before I say a few words to the honorees, I want to take a moment, in case I don't get one later, to acknowledge the amazing NCTR team who really have put in countless hours to get this going. And so, Kayla, I see you're working on something, but Kayla, can you give us all a wave? You've probably, Kayla, and the rest of the team at the back there, Amber, Logan, give some waves. You've probably had multiple, and then we have more of our team that are here today helping Grace with the organization and some others. So I just wanted to take the time to acknowledge that, because this is our first in-person event in years, and it's a lot different than organizing a Zoom event. So I know our time is tight, and I just want to say that Imagine a Canada is so special because it is a place that I learn so much every year. The vision of a reconciled Canada and the actions that all of you are undertaking are inspiring and give me hope. In the job that I do with the NCTR, it's very easy to feel frustrated and to think that, are we ever going to change? Are things going to be different for our communities? And when I look at the vision that all of you are putting out there, I know that that's the Canada I want to live in. That's the Canada I want my daughter to grow up in. And I want to say, your voices matter. Adults, like myself, are not always good at listening. We prefer to talk sometimes, but please do not let your voices be silenced. It is so important for you to hold that vision and keep doing everything you can to make this vision of Canada come true. And it's our jobs as the adults in your life to support you. And sometimes I think just get out of the way and make sure we don't make things worse. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. You young people, you know what you're doing, and I hope we can continue to support you and you continue to work to bring forward this vision of a reconciled Canada. Thank you.
Marcy, Brenda, for your remarks. Next, I would like to invite Keith Potter, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of IGM Financial Inc. and the Executive Sponsor of IG Wealth Management's Indigenous Business Resource Group, to speak. Keith was appointed Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer in July of 2022. He is responsible for all financial functions of IGM Financial Inc. and the components with IG Wealth Management, Mackenzie Investments, and Investment Planning Council. IG Wealth Management has been Imagine Canada's presenting sponsor since the relaunch of the national program. Please give Keith a warm welcome.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here today, not only to honor National Indigenous History Month, but the real point of today, which is to celebrate these amazing students for their accomplishments and their involvement in Imagine a Canada program. First off, I'd like to congratulate each one of these students here. Your work is truly inspirational. I can't wait to see more. And thank you to the parents, the teachers, and all the people supporting these young students that enables them to be able to share their perspectives with us. I'd also like to thank the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation for their leadership and their guidance, and for enabling IG Wealth Management to participate in this special event. Young people have just such a great and unique gift. I've learned this through my personal life. I have children of my own, as well as my professional life. And they really have the power to change perception, and they have a power to help influence how we all view the future. And so that's just a great thing that we have in young people here today. The project's being recognized. They're going to be imaginative, they're heartfelt, and most importantly, they're the very unique lens of each one of these people and what a reconciled Canada means to them. And so I commend all these students for the courage to come forward and do this, and congratulations for being here. Like you, IG Wealth Management, we envision a reconciled Canada, and we're going at this in our own way. We've launched at IG Wealth Management in 2020, IG Empower Your Tomorrow Indigenous Commitment, and it's really to support the financial confidence of Indigenous peoples. We've pledged $5 million over 5 years to really focus on initiatives. We've partnered with Prosper Canada, and we've also partnered with our long-term partner in the Downey Winjack Fund to help build programs, as well as to really focus on education and understanding the history of reconciliation, and within our own organization, what is our journey in this commitment. I'm really proud of the progress we've made as an organization over the past several years, but I will say it's very, very clear, and I understand it very well. We're really at the beginning. There's a lot of work to do for our company to be a better company and to be a better Canada, and we're committed to continue down this journey. I'd also like the young people here today to know that they are a vital part, a real vital part in making this a better country and a better Canada. And you should all be so proud of your accomplishments. And they say that, the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, but I know the youth in this room are really our leaders of today, and they're going to influence, and they're going to make a change, and they're going to have an impact. So again, congratulations to the students, congratulations to all the people that have supported these students here today, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Keith. The NCTR extends a big thank you to IG Wealth Management for their support of the Imagine a Canada program. Now I would like to invite our friend, community member, and residential school survivor, Elder Betty Ross, to speak about the importance of reconciliation and supporting our young ones. Betty Ross is originally from Pimichikamak, First Nation, Cross Lake, and Treaty 5. She was fluent in her Cree dialect. Betty is a residential school survivor of 2 schools, spending more than 15 years in the residential school system. She is currently involved with Seven Oaks School Division as the Elder in Residence for Elwick School. Lucky them. Betty also is very busy as a community elder, devoting free time with the blanket exercises, social justice, and climate change. She offers Cree language classes. Betty has been gifted as a knowledge keeper, sacred pipe, and medicine carrier. She humbly shares this gift and these gifts and teachings today as we continue to move forward throughout the generations. Welcome, Betty. Do you want your water up here? Do you want water up here?
No, thanks.
No?
Dancing. It was fun getting up here anyway. I made it. I really don't know where to start. Agani po ni tiny ni mo taman pitama oma kane mutamage one moment tiny nang giskeni tenge one oma reconciliation kay toniwag. Agani giga gwetsima niwa pigo maga nagnusimak tawisi siganots. Gimama sinamo ano tahitito etsik. Tapueyo nirenita kwan minuta ko sigo gaya mitsik enakatsita tsik giskenita gikwino. Agwaning gimamit teneniten tansimo magigite anagautine giskenita man ke wanoma reconciliation kay tsigatek. Egipe mas kamani sa residential school sa Comina Pek Day School. Agwani teniten nina utina. Ani mapuko tapwe nigan kita gagawin kiskeni sigatek tapwe kay sigatek ke gono matapwe e si pape guag manimaga kaya kay kiskeni tena nagistanana uma ayo tapwe e kumani nagatos kata manuta tagagawin mitani gagawin tagagawin stu tamago magegwan tapwe kay sigatek. Ako kiskeni tamago, ako ani kakite ayanana, si poeta nano, ani makutagay kana tamago mayo reconciliation kay sigate. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen, elders, young people that are here today. Like the introduction, I'm from Michigan Cree Nation, Cross Lake First Nation. That's way, way past up north, past the 53rd parallel. I'm a residential school of 2 systems and a day school. And I've been here since the early 60s when I graduated from Assiniboia Residential School. That was situated at 621 Academy Road. It's no longer there. But there is a group called Assiniboia Residential School Legacy Group, where I co-president for, we're building a monument for all the students that we've lost and for all the students that went to Assiniboia Residential Schools in that era. So we're here to talk about, to lift our young generations about reconciliation. Earlier on, I mentioned that I don't know anything about reconciliation. I have no idea what reconciliation means because of the fact that I'm so busy talking about the truth. The truth meaning tapwewin. What does that mean to each and every one of us? What does it mean to me? I'm busy trying to how do you talk? Well, I always talk about truth. What does it mean to me? Tapwewin. Pagod tagawe kaski mistake tayag tagagas so may tawni aga naman tagakoy kiskeni chiga take mit tone mis uma tapwewin ako ane ko tagagiwsi sip gagiwsi atim I use a reconciliation uma moment tagay ko ani nang kiskeni tene kusisi. I'm so busy trying to build that construct, I guess, that foundation of truth within the community, within my family, within my generations. What does it mean to me? What does it mean to them? And I was talking to some of them today. I have a lot of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So I just wanted to share with you today what reconciliation means to them. I had the opportunity to gather my generations, and I had to ask for their permission what reconciliation means to them. Okay, and these are their thoughts from ages 5 to 25. Quote, some of us are still quiet, Grandma. We must find our voices first, unquote. And the second one, quote, it's about building a relationship between Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island with the four directions of mankind, unquote. And another one, quote, first of all, we need to acknowledge and understand the meaning of truth, like build a strong foundation of truth. The history, like the history of colonization, residential schools, signing and meaning of treaties, and so forth, unquote. And someone replied to that, yeah, quote, yeah, truth first before reconciliation, Grandma. And another one said, quote, it's to talk the talk and walk the walk, unquote. Other one said, quote, it's ancient wisdom of the ages. Here's another one, quote, it's stored in the past. We need to find it today so we can use it tomorrow in good ways, unquote. Another one said, it's a long, long journey, Grandma, unquote. And then there's a 5-year-old that stated, it was in my dreams last night, Grandma, but I forgot all about it. And then we chuckled on this one. He's our trickster. There's one in every family. Did you notice that? In your family, there's always one trickster, and there's always one thinker. Oh, that's just awesome. Okay, and the other one said, quote, it's forever evolving from time immemorial, unquote. And another one stated, quote, our ancestors lived it. We must live it today, moving forward, unquote. And another 6-year-old stated, that's a humongous word, Grandma, but I forgive you, unquote. I thought that was so cute. Then there's a preteen, he was very preoccupied with his phone without looking up, and in a low, monotonous voice stated, it's about forgiveness, Grandma, unquote. Last but not least, I have a 9-year-old grandson whom I call the thinker. There's one in every family. Raising both hands, he stated, I know, Grandma. I found some epic words in reconciliation. And he shared 6 of them. The first one was ration, coin, concile, relation, race, nation, and neon light. Which means, Grandma, it's about the journey of light. It's called HOPE. hope. And I think he nailed it. So here we are gathered today, ladies and gentlemen, to honor our youth as they journey forward to the road of reconciliation through art, through whatever they conceive, they imagine Canada towards reconciliation. And it's so beautiful. We are so proud of them. That's why we are here today. I'd like to end it with when the best and the brightest come together, the possibilities are endless. Egusani, kinanas kumitnawa, anuns kagige mina kagige. Thank you very much. And, one word. Egusani in my language means thank you very much, and I want everybody to say Egusani. Awesome. Thank you, Egusi.
Egosani, Elder Betty Ross, for your words and your teachings. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation would not be here today without survivors who have led this work on reconciliation and, more importantly, truth. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Tasha Spillett Sumner to give a keynote address on education and reconciliation. Dr. Tasha Spillett Sumner, PhD, is a New York Times bestselling author who draws her strength from her Cree and Trinidadian bloodlines. She is a celebrated educator, scholar, and public speaker. She is the author of the multi-award-winning 3-volume graphic novel series, Surviving the City, the New York Times bestselling picture book, I Sang You Down from the Stars, and her most recent picture book, Beautiful You, Beautiful Me. Tasha weaves her cultural identity in both her scholarly work and relational responsibilities to contribute to a body of research that echoes Indigenous women's demands for justice for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. Her work is both a continuation of the resistance against the assault of colonialism that she has inherited and a celebration of the beauty and brilliance that flows forward from those who have come before her. As her career continues to evolve, Tasha looks forward to continuing to connect with and work alongside communities of people who are actively engaged in creating a world that is worthy of our children. Sorry, I also just wanted to add on a special note that 3 days ago, Tasha graduated from the University of Saskatchewan with her PhD now becoming Dr. Tasha Spillett. So please give her a warm welcome and maybe an extra clap and cheer as a congratulation.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Tracy, for that lovely and warm introduction. Before I start, I will share with you, I was feeling a little bit scatterbrained this morning. We did arrive back from Saskatoon, where I went to graduate pretty late, and I have a young child, so it feels like a really Monday, but I know it's Friday. But we'll make it through this morning. So thank you to all the beautiful people who organized and invested so much love and energy into organizing this event, especially the ones who have chaperoned the young children and the young adults to be here today. It's kind of my favorite audience to talk to young people. There's a lovely person at the back who's going to do slides for me. So slide. Okay. So over the next little while, I want to take you on a bit of a non-linear journey. So we're going to jump from time to time, all with the purpose of sharing some ideas on the thoughts of what does an imagined Canada look like? What does reconciliation or could reconciliation look like? And I guess before I should go there, I'm going to just pause and introduce myself. Wache wapi mamails grande tigasun wapi masquando dam. So I know like a little fragment of a fingernail of my mother tongue, the Cree language. My Chapan, my great grandmother, knew how to speak Cree, Ojibwe, Métis, French, and English fluently. My Cookum, her daughter, my grandmother, knew how to speak Cree and English. She never, because of the shame that she was forced to ingest, she never taught my mother and her sisters. And so we're just reclaiming our Cree language. So here on the screen, you can see my family. Our first stop in our nonlinear journey is spring 2020. So at this point, if you bring your minds back to spring 2020, this is early pandemic. So at that time, I'm sitting with my husband on the screen, that's Leonard, and my then 1-year-old daughter. Her name is Isabella Gijigoeavik. And we're sitting in our living room, and my daughter is miserable. She's teething for the first time. She's fussy. She's screaming. And I am a new mom and a little bit overwhelmed. My phone starts ringing, ring, ring. And you know when you look at your phone and you're like, oh, I don't want to answer this one. I looked at my phone and I thought, oh, no, I'm not going to bother. And my husband says, just answer it. So I pick up the phone. I say hello. And on the other line is the editor for my first picture book, Susan Rich, who's a very lovely person, by the way. And she says, Tasha, are you sitting down? And I'm holding my screaming baby. And I say, yeah, I'm sitting down. And she says, Tasha, what I'm about to tell you is going to change your life forever. So at this point, I probably shot Leonard a very strange look. And she goes on to say, as of today, you are a New York Times best-selling author, something that very few people in this world can say. And no matter what happens in your life, nobody will ever be able to take that away from you. Now, I know that maybe some people of a certain generation will remember that show Punk'd with Ashton Kutcher. Anyone? Yeah. So for the young people in the room, it was kind of like a prank show where people would like call or set up these scenarios to fool people. So at that point, after she told me that, I was kind of like, okay, am I being punked right now? And she laughed. And, we shared our goodbyes, and I started to share that news with my family, who were, of course, quite happy for me. And then really quickly, Winnipeg it's kind of a small town city. Pretty quickly, the news of having a local New York Times best-selling author started to spread around. And there was media invitations, if you could go to the next slide. There was media invitations to talk about the book and to share the news of the New York Times bestseller. Slide jump, please. And so as I was doing another slide jump. As I was doing the media for this book, I Sang You Down for the Stars, it brought me back to the memories of being a little girl. And I think that sometimes when people are able to do big, beautiful, and important things in their life, they share the highlight reel of that thing. If you think to your Facebook or your TikTok or your Instagram, those are people's best moments in their lives. What sometimes doesn't happen, though, is telling the story of how they got to that place, which I think is equally as important about telling the big, shiny moments. And so when I talk to young people, particularly, I like to kind of backtrack, talk about the things that brought me to those moments. And so when Susan told me the news about the book, it immediately brought me back to being a little girl in about grade 2 or 3. And at that time in my life, I really, really struggled to read and write. And you would never think that, hey, for somebody who wrote a New York Times bestselling book, you'd never think that when they were in school, they really, really struggled to read and write. So much so that my teachers at that time identified me as having learning problems. And they took me aside to go to this thing called diagnostic learning, where they kind of looked in particular about what your strengths and your struggles were. You know, I know from my teachers' reactions to me that I wasn't performing at the level that they wished. In fact, I have this really strong memory of everyone lining up for recess, and the teacher, before you could go out for recess, you had to be able to give the correct answer for a multiplication, like the multiplication table is what we were learning. So the student, you had a line, and if you got it right, you got to go for recess. But if you got it wrong, you had to go to the back of the line and try it again. And because math has never been my strong point, there were so many times where I just had to go to the back of the line, to the point where recess ran out. I also think about this day in grade 7 when, the teacher, she was bringing all the students to the side of her desk to go over the piece of writing that she had asked us to do. So when it was my turn, I went to the side of her desk with this poem that I had worked on, and I was really proud of it. And I went to the side of her desk, and I sat down, and she looked at it, and then she looked back up at me, and she said, "Tasha, you know you're never going to be any good at writing, so you should just focus on something else." And in that moment, I was completely devastated, completely crushed, because, growing up in my family, you know how Elder Ross said, there's always a trickster, there's always a thinker in our families. For me, I've always been the storyteller of our family. I've always been the one who, had a big long tale. Sometimes my mom called it lying. I had a big long tale to tell. And so, writing really felt natural to me. So when my teacher had said this to me, it really just hurt my heart. So I think that there could have been, if you could jump to the next slide, please. I think that there could have been 2 different outcomes of this experience. Oh, next one, please. One, I could have, just believed what this teacher had said about me and said, you know what? My teacher thinks I'm a really bad writer. I'm never going to be any good at writing. And so I should just, stop trying. Next slide, please. Or I could have thought to myself, my family, my community really sees this gift in me. Really sees, what Elder Ross described as an ember, a light, really sees this particular thing in me, and they love when I tell stories, and I could have pursued that. Thankfully, that's the direction that I took. I pursued telling stories. I pursued to hone or to work and mold on the skills that, I needed to work on so that I could tell stories in the best ways that I knew how. Like I said, I think, when some people accelerate, whether they become like the best hockey player, the best musician, maybe sometimes those things are easy and they just are born great at that thing. And for the rest of us, sometimes we have a gift in our spirit and we have to work on developing that gift. And I think both are okay and both are good. But what is especially important is to talk about the journeys that take us to the places where we wind up in the lives that we have. Because when we share those stories, when we don't just share the shiny, glossy parts of our stories, it gives people permission to take their time. It gives people hope and motivation to work on the skills that they have naturally. And it also gives people kind of like a warm hug of support if maybe they had times in their life where somebody said something to them that really, really hurt them. I really believe that each and every one of us comes into this world with a gift and a purpose. And it's crucial to remember that, like in my belief, Creator gives us all a gift and a purpose. And it's crucial to remember that not everyone is going to see that gift and purpose. And really, that's none of our business. The only responsibility that we have as individuals is to ensure that we're putting all of our good energy, all of our good love into bringing that gift up, because those things don't belong to us. Really, those things are only given to us so that we can make our communities, our families, our nations, the world a better place to be in. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide. That shouldn't be there. There we go. So let's travel back to almost present day. This is a picture of my daughter, Izzy. We call her about a year ago. So her dad took this picture of her, and I kind of love it because she looks like real fierce in her eyes. So we call her the boss. She's 3. Let me tell you, she is a force to be reckoned with. I understand as her mom, it's my job to be her first teacher. It's my job to guide her and to prepare her for this world. But I also understand that she didn't come into this world as an empty vessel. She ready to be filled up. She came into this world like all children do, like you have, with filled to the brim with all the unique gifts and ancestral knowledge that have been passed on to you. She teaches me every single day, and sometimes all through the night too, which is very unfortunate. After that, that children are gifts really for us to follow. After a particularly tough day of trying to figure out how to be a mom, I wrote these words about her. All the sugar and spice and everything nice will never amount to you. I gave birth to a comet, a blazing celestial stone that hurtled through my being on its path to Earth. With a strength that changes landscapes, you are the crater maker for my pooling, cool waters. Because of you, I am deeper and more full. My daughter, I gave birth to a comet. I'm a pandemic parent, meaning that I gave birth to my daughter, had my daughter in the pandemic. She was born March 3rd, 2020, only days before the first lockdown here in Winnipeg. So becoming a parent is a life-altering thing. Parents in the room will know, a life-altering thing just in general. But to become a parent when your whole world changes at the same time as literally the whole world changing around you was quite an overwhelming thing. So after my girl was born, after Izzy was born, I really struggled with something called postpartum anxiety. I was trying to figure out how to be a new mom while also just trying to figure out how to be safe in the world. And if you think about March 2020, we really didn't know a lot about COVID, about what would happen. So my anxiety became so paralyzing. I mean, it froze me that I was too scared to even go outside of our house, even step foot through the doorway for the first 43 days of Izzy's life. My family became quite concerned, and they would, try to encourage me, Tasha, just go for a walk, just take her outside. And finally, on the 44th day, I went outside for the first time, me and her, with my little baby, and I just went to the backyard. And it was warm. It was a warm day. After, Winnipeg, we get long winters, so it was a warm day. I was looking down at my baby, and she was so small. And I remember looking down at her and thinking about this teaching that we have in my nation, which tells us that, before a child is born, they see each and everything that their life will be. They see the good times, the hard times, the struggles, and the celebrations. And it's their first act of agency, their first choice in life to choose to be born. I remember looking down at my baby girl and just thinking, oh my gosh, this little girl was so brave. She was so filled with hope that she chose to be born. She chose to be born knowing, that she was coming into a global pandemic. She chose to be born seeing how the pandemic would go, how long it would last. And she chose to be born knowing what a struggle it would be to live in Canada as a dark-skinned Indigenous woman. And she still chose. She still stepped into this life and accepted the gift that Creator had given her to step into this life. And I was so filled with, I guess, humility that, this little tiny person had so much courage. And I really let that level of courage carry me to this time today. I was thinking a lot about our focus today to Imagine Canada. Earlier, when I was younger, I did an interview not far from here by the Odena. I hope you have a chance to visit there, with this very famous news anchor called Peter Mansbridge. Some of you might remember Peter Mansbridge. He's retired now. The interview was on Canada Day, and it was his very last day as a news anchor. And I got asked to talk about reconciliation. And I remember, doing this interview with Mr. Mansbridge, and he asked me, Tasha, do you think that there's hope for reconciliation? And at that time I thought, and I said no. I said, no, I don't think that in the way that reconciliation is being thought of, that there is hope that we can ever get there, because it's going to take people who have had power and privilege for so long being willing to give it up and share it more equally. And I carried that thought of, I don't think that this is going to happen, until a day with my daughter. And she was getting a little bit older. She was about 2. And we live across from a school. And I was watching, it was the first day of school, and I was watching all the kids get ready to go to school. And I looked at her and I got filled with this kind of anxiety, this kind of, which I actually felt on the day she was born at the hospital, this kind of nervousness about thinking like, oh my gosh, one day my girl's going to have to go to school. And it made me think of the women in my family who didn't have that choice of whether or not their children were going to go to school or not. And it just made my heart feel something really dark and really sad. And I was looking at my daughter, and she started to giggle. She started to giggle at all those children. She was happy to see them. And I thought, you know what? I can't not hope for reconciliation. I can't not hope that it's possible. I can't not work towards the possibility that there can be a Canada in which my daughter can walk through the world in the skin that she was blessed to be born in, and feel safe, feel proud, feel happy. And when I watched those children, I thought, okay, this is it. It can happen, because in every birth of a new child, and every time a child learns a new skill, understands empathy, learns about a group of people, there's an ember, a flicker of hope. And that hope can grow into a larger flame. And so when I look at you all today, the young people who are gathered today, the older people who have been entrusted to guide you and help you along, the ones watching in other places, I really want to impart on you a request to please carry that hope, to please carry the momentum that you feel, the responsibility that you feel, the passion that you feel, to create a Canada that not only is worthy of my daughter, Izzy, but is also worthy of you, of your families, of your communities, and to all those whose faces that we don't know yet, those yet to come. So I thank you for the work that you've done, and I'm very excited to see examples of the work that you're done. Ego se, nanaskaman now.
Ego say, Tasha, for your inspiring words and sharing your journey for what Imagine a Canada could look like for us. And another note, Tasha was a teacher at my high school when she started her Master's of Education. And I think at the time was the only Afro-Indigenous, only Black teacher, only Indigenous teacher in the building. And how she talks about instilling that home fire and that spark and taking that home with you on your journeys. Whether Tasha knows it or not, just by being a force in that building, started that for me years ago and has journeyed on now. And I'm just really glad that you get to hear her journey and the humility that she shares in that, because that was something that I carried for a long time too as a young one, before I really understood what it would be like to step into my power. So thank you, Tasha. We're now going to turn our attention to the youth who have joined us from all across the country to share their visions of a reconciled Canada. Over the next hour, we will hear directly from youth who participated in Imagine a Canada. We will ask each youth who participated in the art and essay stream to speak for 1 to 2 minutes to introduce their submission and tell the audience what it is. They will bring attention to any symbols or meaning that they brought forward in their submission. And they're going to share their message on reconciliation. After we have heard from all of our younger ones, we will invite the project leads for the funded reconciliation projects to speak. So first, I would like to give a warm welcome to Kenzie Kwok, a student from St. John's, to speak to her artwork featuring a medicine wheel that highlights 4 realms of our collective experience here on Turtle Island. Please give Kenzie a warm welcome.
Okay. When I first heard about this project, I thought it would be hard. We've been learning about Indigenous cultures in class, but I didn't want to do anything that was wrong. For example, at first when I drew a picture of a school, I wrote boarding school. Then I showed the picture to my brother and he corrected me. He said they were residential schools. Instead of feeling embarrassed about this mistake, I was glad to have learned. I think this is what reconciliation is about. In my art piece, I wanted to capture the painful experiences Indigenous people have gone through, healing from our past, and the ways Indigenous people have survived with hopefulness and care. The medicine wheel in the middle of the drawing symbolizes the earth, health, and healing, and is the central focus of this drawing. This wheel extends and is attached to 4 outer quadrants. The bottom section is symbols of the Indigenous ways of life. The left and right quadrants show the land that is theirs and which is now connected again with the bright skies and stars above. To me, reconciliation means acknowledging the past and unjust occurrences that have occurred with Indigenous people and doing our part as Canadians to move forward together as a nation. I hope that this art piece will inspire people to love one another and themselves. I would like the world to be a place that no one has to be scared of and where no one is judged. Love who you are. Lastly, on behalf of my school, St. John's School in Vancouver, I would like to present a gift and donation to show support to the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation.
Thank you, Kenzie. That really started us off in a really good way, and gives a lot of us hope for what our young ones are stepping into. I next would like to welcome Grace McLeod from, please correct me when you come up here if I got this wrong, Kennesaw Community School, to speak to her painting illustrated Loving Earth. It features children around the planet linked hand in hand with their parents. Let's please give a warm welcome to Grace. together. You're gonna come up with your grandpa. Not your grandpa. Do you know who he is? Your uncle. Okay. So you're gonna step up here. Did I say your school right?
I don't know what my school's called.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna make room for both. Ready? Can you see your picture?
My picture?
This is your drawing. Do you want to talk about your drawing?
Sure.
Okay, so let's share with the audience what you drew.
I drew a family where every kid could have a family.
For everyone to have a family, do you want to add to that? Do you want to add to her painting? Do you want to add to what she has said? You can talk into the microphone.
Oh, did you speak in Tlingit? Well, what I wanted to do was, when she speaks her language, I'll interpret.
Okay, you're going to speak your language? Great.
Go ahead.
Let's see, you had to so Clinket Ana, Grace
Speak slow.
McLeod, Clinket Ana.
You can interpret after if you want.
She said in our Tlingit language that her name and the clan that she come from.
Okay. Perfect.
Keep me climbing back and forth.
Yes, thank you, Grace. Next, I would like to welcome Dylan Smarch from Kakina School, Community School, to speak to his drawing about warm food and asserting his wish for every child to have good meals in school. What was your name?
Pardon?
What was your name?
Sam Johnson.
Sam Johnston. And this is Sam Johnston who will be doing the interpretations.
This guy, horse. You speak Tlingit first.
Skatnegi Ayahat, Tlingit Ana. Dylan Smarch, Glaycott Ana. I would like to thank my teacher for helping us and pushing towards what we did in our class. This is about hoping that every kid would get a meal every day and not having to starve until they get their dinner at home. It is about, actually, I don't know.
Okay.
That's about all I have.
Is that all you've been
I
saying?
remember. Yeah, that's all I did to remember.
Okay, let me speak then. On behalf of our group from the Yukon, I would like to say thank you very much for including us in your celebration, and congratulations to all our young people that are working together. This is only how we're going to work as a people across the country, by working together. And thank you for including us from way up north of the Yukon. So thank you.
Miigwech Dylan. Next, I would like to welcome to the stage Neve from École Élémentaire Pierre Elliott Trudeau to speak to her drawing Un monde meilleur. J'aimerais maintenant accueillir Neve de l'École Élémentaire Pierre.
I would like to welcome Neve Griffiths from École élémentaire Pierre Elliott Trudeau to speak to her drawing A Better World. Hi, my name is Neve Griffiths. I go to the elementary school, Pierre Elliott Trudeau in Ontario. Firstly, I would like to thank the program Imagine Canada to welcome me today in Winnipeg and to also have invited me to this ceremony. For my project, I made this drawing that represent a lot of culture, even two-person that hold hand to be in accordance on one or many things. And inside of their hands, I put different words and symbols that symbolize their reconciliation. So love, friendship, water, land, culture, language, peace, and etc. And in the background, I drew the pride flag to represent diversity. And I won't explain it all in details, but I would like to explain one thing, like language. In residential schools, the indigenous people don't have the choice to actually speak their language. They had to learn a new language that was maybe stressful, and I can't imagine it. For me, the reconciliation is to recognize our errors, to talk about it, and to try to repair it and to ensure that we do not repeat them for a better future. And I think also that events like here today are important because it gives hope that we can do positive change for this country. And I'm so honored to be here and to meet new people and to learn new things. Thank you infinitely for your invitation today.
Merci, Nev. J'aimerais ensuite bienvenue.
Merci, Neve. J'aimerais maintenant accueillir Sylvie Wilson de l'école élémentaire so from the school Pierre Elliott Trudeau to tell us about her drawing, the maths are peace, or the maths of peace. Thank you, Neve. So hi everyone, my name is Sophie Wilson. I 12 years old and I'm in grade at Pierre Elliott Trudeau, also in Ontario. And firstly, I would like to say that I'm so happy and honored to be here present today to talk about reconciliation, which is a subject that I hold dear to my heart. And why I'm here, it's to talk about my drawing. My drawing talks about mats of peace. It represents an orange feather plus the maple leaf, red, all of it in a yellow heart. And the orange feather represents the indigenous people, and the maple leaf, the Canada people. And of course, you have the peace sign, which means reconciliation and peace. And the yellow of the heart signifies the joy and celebration. The heart means that we all love each other. And the green around it symbolize nature. I place keywords like culture, peace, equality in bubbles around it that can actually be lifted high. And reconciliation for me signifies to learn from our mistakes and to repair the relationship between different groups of people that was broken. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Merci, Sophie. Next, I would like to welcome Jalen Williamson from Juniper School to speak to her painting called The Bridge of Reconciliation. It takes inspiration from the book Fatty Legs, in which a young Inuk girl attends residential school and is shocked by how different it was from her expectations.
Hello, everyone. I am very happy to be here today. I am Jael Williamson, and I will be talking about my painting that was inspired by a residential school survivor named Ullaman. Ever since she was young, she had always wanted to go to residential school. Her father told her how bad it was, but she still insisted on going. Eventually, he allowed her to attend, but almost instantly she regretted going and wanted to go back home. The nuns tried to make her forget everything about herself, all that made her Ullaman. My painting consists of two halves of a heart. One half represents residential schools, and the other half represents her home and family. In the middle, you can see her walking on the bridge of reconciliation. One meaning of reconciliation is the restoration of friendly relations. All she wanted was to be restored to her family. Thank you.
Miigwech Jalen. I would like to welcome to the stage Raylyn from Rothesay Park School to speak to her poetry essay, which is centered around the story of Elu Augustine, entitled The Diary of Elu Augustine. Raylyn, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to say that I'm so honored to be here representing Atlantic Canada with my fictional writing piece from the perspective of a residential school student named Elu Augustine. My objective was all of you to imagine how it feels to be in her perspective. Imagine being taken away from your families. Imagine how it would feel to have your beautiful hair cut away. Imagine not being able to live your life to the fullest. Imagine, just imagine. The secret of our success is that we never, ever give up. I came across this quote by Wilma Mankiller when conducting research for my Imagine a Canada project. Wilma was an activist, social worker, community developer, and the first woman elected to serve principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. I found this quote appropriate to represent my writing piece because the character I wrote about was resilient and refused to give up. Wilma's story was never really heard, and that relates to the fictional character in my project. There are so many untold stories about the children who lived in residential schools. I recommend adolescents to read this piece because of the fact that this is a fictional essay, and imagining themselves in the shoes of my fictional character could be utilized to increase their knowledge on the subject of residential schools. As a 14-year-old girl, I cannot lie. I only started learning about Indigenous culture in my grade 6 year. Learning about First Nations was always something that I was interested and intrigued to learn. For our November homework this year, in my English language arts class, we were asked to represent Remembrance Day and/or Truth and Reconciliation with an essay, art piece, poster, etc. Although we do learn about this topic frequently, I decided I was going to do a deeper dive on the lives of residential school students for this assignment. As my writing piece, I wrote 5 fictional diary entries from the perspective of a fictional residential school student named Elu Augustine trying to escape her traumatizing life in what she would call a prison, or in other words, her school. My goal was to make it as realistic as possible, so I spent hours researching the history of residential schools to as much detail as I could. I learned many stories trying to perfect my writing to the fullest extent. However, I do not think it is fair to talk about the experience because 1, I am not a residential school survivor, and 2, I am not Indigenous. On the other hand, for people who do not know much about this topic, I hope the research or essay I've provided will teach them a bit more about the Indigenous culture, because I can confirm that writing this piece has taught me a great deal. I could talk for hours on end about why I think learning about Indigenous culture is extremely important, but unfortunately I only had a few minutes. I'm honored to be one of the 2 participants representing Atlantic Canada and hope many of you continue and/or start to learn more about the stories of Indigenous culture. Thank you.
Miigwech. Next, I would like to welcome Kayla from Juniper School to speak to her piece titled Piecing Together Reconciliation. It depicts a divided landscape with missing puzzle pieces conveying the lost truths from residential schools. Welcome.
For my reconciliation project, I put a broken heart in the middle of my puzzle to represent the break and loss of culture, language, family, love. The breaking is caused by the traumatizing experience of being pulled away from their families and the heartbreaking experience of the children, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and cousins that all had to go through the horrible things that happen with being separated from loved ones. The missing pieces of the puzzle are to represent the missing language and culture
because of residential schools. These are a few things about my reconciliation project.
Miigwech, Kayla. Next, we are going to put Brett's artwork up, and Brett is from Rosary School. Can we just, Brett, in the audience, can you just wave so we can acknowledge where you're sitting? No, here somewhere? Okay. So this is Brett's design. Brett, like I mentioned, is from Rosary School, and her depiction is a wampum belt design titled Unity. It features symbols such as an equal sign, peace sign, an infinity symbol, as well as depictions of a rock and an Inukshuk. Can we just give a round of applause for Brett and her work? And next, I would like to welcome to the stage Talua, Fate, Kenny, and Brooklyn from Lindsay Collegiate and Vocational Institute to speak to their art and essay dual submission entitled Peyakoskaniwin, or the act of being one of the family and the ring of reconciliation.
Hi, we are so welcome to be here today. I wrote the essay and Tula made the amazing piece of art. Imagine a Canada was very special contest, not just because we're trying to make our First Nations community stronger and healthier, it's because they picked a bunch of kids to imagine a new Canada, and that's very special. Because they wanted our ideas, our plan. Everybody who is here today had a brilliant idea to build a relationship with the First Nations. Ours was to fix a current event that is happening right now. It's called the Ring of Fire. It is mining that's happening in southern Ontario, which belongs to the First Nations community land. This is affecting their ability to hunt and gather because they're disrupting their wild resources. It's creating pollution, the heavy equipment, and the employed workers bringing garbage and fuels into their land, which creating issues involving their wildlife, bad air quality, and water pollution. We came up with short-term solutions to support First Nations goals, extra education and employment at the mines, and to protect nature even while mining. But our long-term solution is to come up with an agreement where both parties are benefited, which I know sounds like a dream, but together as children, we are the future. So we need to make sure all children know about the situation, so in the future, this conflict can be avoided.
I wanted to take a moment to talk about the meaning that my painting holds. My painting represents the Ring of Fire that was talked about in Brooklyn's essay. The first circle represented is the Ring of Fire mine. The carapace represented the hunting grounds, and the fish represented the water. The people represented the indigenous culture, and the second circle represented agreement, and the Cree word represented coming together as a community, and it translates to be a part of the family or tribe. The painting as a whole was created to represent the indigenous people's need to decide what happens to the Ring of Fire, not the government. The painting represents indigenous voices finding themselves once more and joining together to make their decision on the Ring of Fire mining project.
Thank you, Chalua, Fate, and Brooklyn. Next, we're going to project Chloe's artwork. Chloe is from Hants East Rural High School, and she has a beaded depiction of unity between plants, animals, and humans, and this is called Growing Towards a Brighter Future. Beautiful.
To me, reconciliation means having mutual respect for everyone. It's important to learn about the past and about the truth in order to learn from it and move forward. Together we can grow toward a brighter future.
Okay, I think it's my turn. Okay, the beaver being one of the 7 teachings represents wisdom, and wisdom is cultivated from past events to avoid making the same mistakes in hopes of a better future. The tree doubles as abstract hands that symbolize people and how we are all equal. The colors throughout the piece represent multiple cultures as well as the brighter future, and the piece speaks to how we can rely on each other throughout our lifetime. Chloe, if you're in the audience, can you wave so we can just acknowledge you in your beautiful artwork? Chloe here? Well, let's give Chloe a round of applause. Next, we're going to welcome Danielle from Highland Secondary School to speak to her beaded medicine bag called Nalchits. Please. I don't think I got that right.
Hello, everyone. Tottinegan Sequiganas Hushie, Luchok Chui Dene Sutine Hutsi. I live as a guest on the unceded Comox, Satlut, Sasitla, Ayiksin, and Puntledge territory. My name is Danielle Bilizaze Lewis. I am one of the first peoples in Canada to reclaim my Indigenous name Bilizaze under the TRC Calls to Action number 17. In Dene, my name means we are the creators and makers. We create with our hands. Nechet Nedi, which means medicine bag in Dene. I beaded and sewed the medicine bag, which would normally carry sacred items within and worn by different Indigenous peoples. Truth and learning about shared history is the medicine that is needed. The beaded heart represents the strongest medicine, which is love. The beaded flower and plants are not only represented our identity and place we come from, but also the medicines for healing. Reconciliation can only happen when we heal, but we can get there without the truth. The beading itself represents my Dene Sutline culture, which is also healing and reclaiming of over 150 years of what colonization has tried to take from myself and my community. Reconciliation to me means when people's actions line up with their words. This is also when people can act with integrity and compassion, with our lived shared history. As elders have said, reconciliation is when people take the cotton from their ears and put it in their mouth to fully hear the truth. Otherwise, we will never see a reconciled Canada.
Amazing, miigwech Danielle. Next, I would like to welcome to the stage Gabrielle from Orangeville District Secondary School to speak to her poem entitled New World. It speaks to the need to incorporate Indigenous languages so that we don't lose them in the future. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle Thompson. I'm from the Treaty Lands, and I'm a treaty partner of treaties 18 and 19. I live on the traditional lands of the Mississauga, the Saugween Ojibwe Nation, and the Haudenosaunee. I'm so grateful to be here today with all of you, and all thanks to my amazing Indigenous Studies class and the poem that I got to write because of it. It began with nothing. In nothing, the possibility of something, then falling. It began on a turtle shell, with courage, with earth, with life. It began with dancing and laughter and love. The first stanza of this poem is the beginning, quite literally. It's the beginning of the creation story, specifically the Anishinaabe or Ojibwe creation story, containing Kichi Manitou, the Great Nothing, or the possibility in nothing, and Sky Women. It is home. It is sage smoke and cedar tea. It is moose meat and bone marrow beads. It is sweat lodges and long houses, this world braided together with wingashk and odaman, sweetgrass and heartberries at its foundation, Nibby breathing life through it, all beings maintaining each other. This stanza focuses on pieces of culture that I've learned throughout my school system in either elementary school or in my Indigenous Studies class. It also focuses on things like the Ojibwe language, wingash being sweetgrass, odaman being heartberries or strawberries, and nibby being water. Sitting in classes of Indigenous and European lessons, oral history of this land, our Turtle Island, our home. Learning the plants and animals I share its earthly gifts with, making beaded medallions in math class, identifying plant medicines and biology. learning Ojibwe and Anishinaabe along with French, Minoman and Bannock in the cafeteria, knowledge keepers and elders next to teachers, all people partners, honoring our treaties, and Nakdagawan, our responsibility. This stanza fulfilled the prompt of imagining a Canada or a reconciled Canada. I've always enjoyed having knowledge keepers and elders in my classes. And some of the things that I mentioned, I've actually gotten to participate in, like beading. I've done it twice. I did beaded medallions in 7th grade, and we beaded poppies for Indigenous Veterans Day in my Indigenous Studies class this year. And it just brings in different parts of culture that we've learned and how we could incorporate them simply into our school systems that are filtered through colonialism and do not participate in traditional knowledge. Recognition of all that was stolen, working to give it back, accepting our mistakes, and working every day to make up for them. The 8th fire we choose to save, creating the world everybody deserved, the world we took away. Creating new systems that work for everybody, protecting our land, our home. This stanza was focusing on the truth part of Truth and Reconciliation, which is the stage we are in currently as a country. We still are learning to accept the truth of European settler and Indigenous peoples' relationships with each other in the past and currently, and we are trying to work towards making them positive relationships. I also bring up the 7 Fires prophecy. We explored 7 fires through the 7 Fallen Feathers book, and the 8th fire is the last prophecy, which is basically the white people who have currently chosen to create poor relationships with the earth and the Indigenous peoples of this country, choosing the right move, which would be to create positive relationships with the earth and Indigenous peoples. And the last stanza brings back the creation story and how we can go from the past and create a better future. If it began with nothing but a possibility, then it can be fixed with a possibility. Since it began with courage, it can be fixed with courage. Because it began with love, it can be fixed with love. Thank you, Miigwech.
Miigwech Gabrielle. Next, I would like to welcome Sophia from Miller Comprehensive Catholic High School to speak to her video essay entitled, "I'm Not the Woman You Had in Mind." It depicts a girl who learns to break free from a doll, and that doll being a symbol of Eurocentric femininity. Welcome, Sophia.
Hello. It's an honor to be here today as the creator of the video poem, "I Am Not the Woman You've Had in Mind." A while ago, I was ecstatic to give an interview to a major media company, but my excitement dissipated with a single sentence from the interviewer. "We only interviewed you because you are young, a minority, and a female." While disheartening, being a diversity point, or worse, told to conform to Eurocentric ideals, is the reality of many ethnically diverse Canadians. It is extrapolated for Indigenous individuals, as I've seen with my friends who are told to stop advocating for their rights, stop advocating for stolen sisters, and to stop telling their truths. Therefore, inspired by Thomas King's poem, "I'm Not the Indian You've Had in Mind," my submission represents a reconciled Canada through listening and learning. Once trapped inside a doll, again the symbol of Eurocentric femininity, a girl breaks free by embracing community and spirituality. In doing so, the poem imagines a Canada that acknowledges the past, embraces the present truth, and supports each other in finding ourselves outside pre-described colonial roles. I not only imagine this hopeful Canada, I know that it can exist. It is because of people like Elder May and Shiloh Stevenson who are willing to tell their stories, students who are willing to listen and learn, and outstanding teachers like Mrs. Fletcher, Mr. Fox, and Mr. Barron who aided in the submission, and Miss Struby Denkert, who dedicated 6 weeks to discovering the Canadian voice through Indigenous literature, that I am here today. Even people from different countries, like Daniel Birch, the composer of the video song Music Box and Sunshine, banded together to help make this submission. That goes to show that all reconciliation requires is the ability to listen, to work together, and to put aside our pride. There is a wide-reaching community ready to walk on the road of truth and reconciliation, and I imagine a Canada where everyone is willing to walk. Together, Indigenous peoples, settlers, and immigrants like myself can walk towards truth and reconciliation. Thank you.
Miigwech Sophia. Thank you to all of the youth from the art and essay stream who shared with us today their visions of a reconciled Canada. Un merci à tous les jeunes qui ont participé, qui ont nous partagé aujourd'hui leur vision.
I would like to thank all the youth in the art and essay stream who shared with us today their visions of a reconciled Canada.
We will now ask the youth leads who participated in the Reconciliation Project stream to speak for 1 to 2 minutes to introduce their project, share their perspective on reconciliation, and or what they have learned during this year. They will also share a little bit of the progress they have made on the project since the beginning. And I'm going to start by speaking about Creighton Community School, who received $1,000 to host Indigenous elders and knowledge keepers for a special day of learning after having studied the 94 calls to action across 94 days. Perfect. Okay, thank you, Creighton Community School. Next, I would like to welcome Cobain and Aubrey from Henderson Elementary School, who received a $1,500 grant to have an elder visit their school and share the significance of woodland-style art for painting. A second elder visited to share the 7 sacred teachings, highlighting the meaning behind drumming. Welcome. Oh, there you are.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Mulligan. This is Cobain Flat. We are grade 4 at Henderson Elementary School, Dauphin, Manitoba. We are excited to share our project. Patrick Paul taught us all about woodland art. We were excited that our school was able to create this cool Indigenous art. Patrick taught us the history of woodland art and his journey from being Indigenous.
Candace Demery came to our school and taught each class about the medicine wheel, and she sang Indigenous songs while drumming. She taught us about the sacred moons and medicines that are sage, cedar, tobacco, and sweetgrass. These people that came to our school helped each student learn more about the Indigenous people and support our vision for a reconciled Canada. Learning, teaching, and sharing.
Thank you, Kobe and Aubrey. Next, I would like to welcome to the stage Chloe Lynn from Willow Road Public School, who received a $1,000 grant to host a pair of Métis artists to make loom beaded bracelets utilizing elements of math.
My name is Chloe, and today I'm going to be talking about my project that I did at school and about what reconciliation means to me. Reconciliation means to celebrate Indigenous people. Think about the girl that went to the residential school and got her orange shirt taken away. It was wrong because they were taking her culture, religion, and basically skin out of her and identity out of her and making her a new person. We need to learn about reconciliation more so we can make sure that no one does build any more residential schools and actually listens to other people's stories. We don't need to take Indigenous people's language out of them or their culture and leave them alone how they are. In my class, we made Indigenous beading projects, And me and my class, we had to talk about Indigenous beading, and we also got to make tobacco. And thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Chloe Lynn. I'd like to welcome next to the virtual stage students from St. Mark Catholic Elementary School who received a $1,000 grant to invite Tribal Vision Dance Troupe to their school and teach the students the fundamentals of Indigenous dance practices for an end-of-year event.
Our vision of Imagine a Canada Reconciled is we would learn and know more about First Nation traditions and practices such as foods.
St. Mark Catholic School, I think you're muted.
Try talking again, Claire, really loud.
Our vision of Imagine a Canada Reconciled is we would learn and know more about First Nation traditions and practices such as foods, dance, and languages. First Nation peoples would be comfortable going to any school. We would all learn native traditions. We would learn to care and use the land properly like First Nation communities did. We would accept First Nation as a part of us.
We participated in the Communities in Canada 1780 to 1850 unit. We began our work by learning a land acknowledgement that we could recite each day. We learned the story of Philip Furniture and listened to many stories about residential schools and participated in the read aloud of On the Trapline by David A. Robertson. We learned about the Wendat and the Anishinaabe. We viewed the Nova Moroso, Copper Thunderbirds, the land rights. We created iMessages for how First Nation communities may have felt with the arrival of the early settlers and created mandalas.
We went on a field trip to Crawford Lake Conservation Area to participate in the Life in the Longhouse program. The program included circle gathering, fire starting, traditional games, and craft making. We created signs for Have a Heart Day to raise awareness. For our project, we were eager to learn more about First Nation traditions and cultures. So we are having the Tribal Vision Dancers come to do a workshop on June 26, 2023, to share powwow-style dances, singings, and dance clothes. They will share cultures and historical information. We will have an opportunity to learn and participate in some traditional dances. Thank you.
Thank you, St. Mark Catholic Elementary School. Perfect. Okay, next, I would like to welcome Aubrey, Tia, and August from Rosser Elementary School, who received a $1,000 grant to have an artist guide students in the creation of a mural centered on elements of Indigenous peoples in Canada.
Tanse, good parents, schools, teachers, elders, and visitors. My name is Aubrey Miskinak, and I am First Nations Cree. And these are my friends, Tia Benedetti, Orkua, and August Bristow Nagy. And we are here and we are proud to represent Rosser Elementary School in British Columbia and would like to thank the Rosser School community. Rob Smith, who is the District Principal of Indigenous Education, the Imagine a Canada program, and the NCTR for giving us this opportunity to share what reconciliation means to us for the past 2 years and for making this project possible. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge and thank the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish, on whose traditional territory we live, learn, and play.
With their influence and guidance, we are learning about the Indigenous peoples and history of Burnaby and British Columbia. Last year, we applied to the Imagine Canada program, and we were very happy to have been accepted into this inspiring venue of reconciliation. We had the honor of Dr. Elder Roberta Price sharing her story about being a residential school survivor, and we had 2 amazing assemblies. Since we had a success with our first project, we thought to apply again. Fortunately, we got the grant. This year, we wanted to do something that benefits the school and shows how much we are engaged with reconciliation.
We are connected with an artist who is painting an Indigenous mural in collaboration with us. With some help of district staff and our teacher sponsor, Miss Peachy, we found Marissa Nahini, a powerful Indigenous artist who represents the Squamish and Nisga'a nations, to help us with the painting.
The mural will be inside our school on the office walls, so that the first thing people see when they walk in is the beautiful art that reminds them of traditional land values and reconciliation. We have not yet completed the mural with Marissa Nahini, but we are very grateful to the Imagine a Canada program for allowing us to make this happen.
Our plan is to meet with the artist and discuss what would best represent our community and commitment to reconciliation. We have lots of ideas, but we'll look to her for guidance. We have quite learned a lot about ourselves and the peoples and land around doing this project. We're excited for the future. Thank you.
Miigwech, Aubrey, Tia, and August. Next, I would like to welcome to the stage Colton, Ashton, and Levi from École South Point School, who received $1,000 to support their Project of Heart, which will see students contributing individual tiles, which will be collected and preserved to create an united image that will serve as a permanent art installation at their school.
Okay. Hello, bonjour. My name is Levi, and my community is Peguis First Nation, and I am here to tell you about our school's Project of Heart. I am one of the leaders of the Fair Directions group, an Indigenous youth group at our school. We are grade 5 to 8 students who come together and share and discuss our culture and ways to make change. We look for ways to honor our ancestors before us and show everyone that Indigenous people are still here and that we are not gone. In our Project of Heart at École South Point School, we are making an art piece that involves creating small tiles that will be attached to a painted canvas. Our Fair Directions group made a video explaining the project to our school and asking every student and every adult to think about what reconciled Canada might look like. We wanted to flip the learning and have our community focus on all the amazing gifts we continue to carry. We shared our ideas, all the delicious food, the laughter, our music, and our dances, our medicines, our relationship with everything around us, the knowledge and wisdom we carry, as we said in our video, all the beautiful things that they tried to take away from us. Then we let each class decorated the tiles, and we are in the process of completing our painting. Next fall, our elder will come and help us unveil the finished project for our school during Truth and Reconciliation Month. On behalf of the whole Federations group, thank you so much for recognizing our work and honoring us today. Miigwech.
Awesome job, Colton, Ashton, and Levi. Next, I would like to welcome Harmony, Tatiana, and Emily from St. Thomas High School, who received a $1,005 grant to hold a 4-day celebration to pay tribute to Anishinaabe communities and learn more about their history, art, and culture.
Bonjour, Jawashkobana Sikh Nindijinikas, Atik Nindotem. Hi, my name is Tajana Sandy Kasprick, and I'm from Northwest Angle 33 First Nation. My grandparents attended CJ and St. Mary Residential School, and I'm a second-generation residential school survivor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Penkoff. I'm 16 years old, and I identify as a Métis, and my family is originally from Norway House.
Bonjour, Kuwaitan Benesik, Indigenous Cause. Hi, my name is Harmony Osborne Redsky. I'm an Afro-Indigenous student from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation.
To begin, we'd like to talk about some reasons for our project. So Kenora had 2 residential schools, Cecilia Jeffrey and St. Mary's. Kenora is also surrounded by many First Nations communities, but what many people don't know is about the schools, and they also don't really understand what happened at the schools. Even worse, some people minimize what happened and its effects.
The elders and residential school survivors have told us that we have to tell the truth and know the truth in order to heal, but many people don't know about Indigenous history. Indigenous history is only starting to be told. We are learning about it, but we wanted to bring it to the forefront in Kenora.
We have recently formed an Indigenous Student Council at our school and wanted to educate the community about Indigenous people, our experience, our history, and how this still affects us.
Elders from the Treaty 3 territory have recently aided the 8th grandfather teaching, the teaching of forgiveness. This is unique to our area and is represented by a rock. Following the discovery of the mass graves at Kamloops Residential School and across the country, our elders received this teaching through ceremony. We cannot heal without forgiving not only others, our families, our leaders, and also ourselves.
We see the result of residential schools and other discriminatory practices of the government in our town. People need to understand that Indigenous-led solutions should be supported.
We started a student council for our students to have a voice and do projects that we want in our school. We planned and put on an Imagine a Canada week, which we called Nagush Kata Tida, meaning coming together. We put up a teepee at our school and started the week with a prayer and smudging on Monday. On Tuesday, we held dance demonstrations with students, jingle dress dancers, and fancy shaw dancing. We taught about powwow protocol. Wednesday, we served wild rice soup and bannock to all the students and staff in the school.
On Thursday, we held a community walk. We wanted to put an exhibit on trees and light posts along a walking trail that would educate the community, so we took parts from books, original student poetry, jingle dress exhibits, books about the importance of powwows, dancing and culture activities, the language, all things that have been taken away from the Anishinaabe people. We also put up material that tells people how to be an ally to the Anishinaabe people.
Our classes went on a walk to look at the exhibit, which was along the walking trail to Garrow Park and to the former Cecilia Jeffrey School site. There, the teachers read the Canada's history and how we need to work together towards truth and reconciliation. Our big project is an art installation. We are painting 8 canvases that depict the residential school experience and the 8 grandfather teachings of Treaty 3. We are incorporating the work of community beaders and student beadwork into the canvases. We want to finish this by September 30th, Truth and Reconciliation Day.
We also had an Ojibwe phrase of the day. We put up a new Ojibwe phrase every day.
Minogijgat, good morning.
Miigwech gin, thank you too.
Kitapatin Dagos, you are important.
This was our attempt to move forward towards truth and reconciliation. We would like to continue to do things every year from now on.
Thank you to Miss Barkley and our art teacher and mentor, and thank you for this opportunity. Miigwech.
Marcy, Miigwech, Harmony, Emily, and Tatiana. Next, I would like to welcome Julie from Yadarockway Learning Center, who received a $1,000 grant to foster a day of creativity and learning with Indigenous elders. A teepee is to be constructed on school grounds with each face of the teepee having a unique mural. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, so Ava was supposed to be with me today, but since she's not here right now, I'm going to be doing the part of her speech for her. Ava is Mi'kmaq from Pictou Landing First Nation, sorry. And I'm Julie Byers, I'm Canadian, I'm her friend. We are guests here on these ancestral lands of Treaty 1 territory and the birthplace of the Métis. We are here on behalf of the Catarockway Learning Center in Kingston, Ontario, to share our ideas on decorating our new school's teepee cover. This teepee will be a place for students, teachers, staff, and community to come together and learn. We decided to work together because Ava and I both took an Indigenous English course and we're learning a lot about reconciliation and Indigenous history. Our school has a variety of different programs in it. Little kids in an Indigenous elementary classroom, middle school classrooms, 2 Indigenous high school programs, a mental health classroom, 4 Newcomers to Canada classrooms, and regular high school classrooms. We think that this teepee project will encourage all of the people in the building to work together and mix. Our school has so many groups, and yet feels distant in terms of communication with one another. We want students to come together and encourage one another to participate and to be open-minded and receptive when it comes to learning about reconciliation. Our school is going to work on decorating the teepee cover in the spirit of truth and reconciliation with knowledge keepers Deb St. Amant, Anishinaabe, Métis, as well as Mandy Smart and Crystal Loff, Mohawk, from Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. They teach us about Indigenous ways of knowing, being, and doing. We want to include everyone in creating this space because it's important to be yourself, to be proud of your background and identity, to feel seen, and to be represented in your school community. To us, this is a reconciliation project because we are working to bring our community together to learn, to teach, and to respect each other. We have students with many different backgrounds. We aren't setting aside our differences, we're including them. When we include, when we show compassion, and when we dedicate ourselves to act, this is when we can come together as a whole to reconcile. We decided to use handprints to decorate the teepee to show that this is a safe space for everyone to learn in. Everyone's handprint is different and important. We want everyone to mark their hands with paint and put them on the teepee cover to show that we all belong here and deserve to feel welcome. Ava and I working together matters because Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth need to be the change leaders now. Non-Indigenous people can support decolonization in school spaces alongside Indigenous peoples who are working to indigenize spaces. We need to come together and be the change we want to see in our lives. Youth need to demonstrate to older generations that working together creates positive change while also showing youth that just because we are young doesn't mean we cannot get involved and lead. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next, I would like to welcome Honey Flett Frampton from St. James Collegiate, who received a $1,000 grant to redesign the school's shared library with the assistance of Métis artist Kisa McIsaac through the painting of a mural for the redesigned learning area. Welcome, Honey.
Bonjour, good morning, elders, students, parents, and teachers. My name is Honey. I am the representative for St. James Collegiate. I have to say what reconciliation means to me. It's a sign of hope. It is a sign of recovery. It is the sign of taking back that once Indigenous people have lost due to decolonization. As of now, we know that Canadians are becoming more aware of residential schools and the current issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit, as well as for other forms of systemic racism. This understanding is leading to our change, and we need to work together and learn more, as well as we are still here. We have a school library that I share with George Waters Middle School. We use this as a learning space for almost everything. As of now, I am working with Keysa Arts and many students from my teacher, Miss Toucher, and her First Nations studies class. We've purchased a carpet from an Indigenous artist, as well as for chairs for a mini learning space for a talking circle. As now, we are working on a. I'm so nervous. I'm sorry.
You got your line?
Just take a deep breath. You're doing awesome. As we continue on the mural that we wish to install in our school library, we are continuing to paint and put all our heart and soul, energy, and good vibes, as words from the artist from Keysa. We hope to make our little boring library into a learning space for all. We hope to give education. We also like to incorporate multiple languages, cultures, backgrounds, and make it a welcoming space. We have now our beautiful drumming stools, which are technically chairs, and our carpet, which are now in our library. We hope to continue to make it more colorful and make marks for many students in both St. James Collegiate and George Waters Middle School. I am very grateful for being here today, speaking to all of you. Thank you. Wait 1 second. Yeah, can we all just give a round of applause for Honey? You did, good job. Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Sienna from Quamichin School, who received a $1,500 grant to work with Coast Salish artist Simone Diamond in the creation of a mural consisting of brainstormed ideas between the students and the artists. Welcome, Sienna.
I'm native Anta Sienna White. I am a 15-year-old student at Quamichin School in the Cowichan Valley, and I am a member of Cowichan Tribes. Quamichin School is located on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. Quamichin School consists of grade 8 and 9. I am a part of a year-long class that teaches both Ho'okaminam and First Nations art. We wanted to work together as a class to create a mural for our school on the theme of reconciliation. To me, reconciliation means hope, hope for a future where we are all kind to one another, hope for a school community where we all respect each other and our boundaries, hope for a society that sees everyone as equal. Reconciliation will take a long time, but it will not be easy, but I believe my generation can help lead towards reconciliation. We have been working with the artist Simone Diamond, who is a young Caucasian and Sayao artist. Some themes we are incorporating in our mural are movement, transformation, connection to nature, and working together. We have really enjoyed collaborating with Simone and learning from her expertise. We think reconciliation means hope, and we want to bring some hope to our school in the form of a mural. We want our classmates to see this mural and feel hopeful for the future. Hartsoka.
Miigwech Sienna. Enfin, j'aimerais accueillir sur le mélodier Dominique, Amelia, Zoe, Claire et
I would like to invite Mélodie, Dominique, and Amelia, Zoe, Claire, and Liam de l'école secondaire Jules Verne. They actually receive a subvention of $2,000.
culture and invite elders and cultural facilitators to present the full school during Truth and Reconciliation Week. Bienvenue.
Bonjour.
Hi, everyone. The Committee of Truth and Reconciliation of Jules Verne School, composed of Indigenous and Allophone students and also Francophone students from British Columbia, and we are really full of gratitude for this opportunity. And we are actually on unceded territory of Treaty Number 1, and we recognize that uh, that those nations actually are taking care of their waters.
Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, part of the Francophone School Board of British Columbia, are very grateful for this opportunity to speak and participate in this award ceremony. We acknowledge that we are gathered on unceded ancestral lands of the Treaty 1 territory. These lands are the heart of the Métis people. We acknowledge that our water comes from the Shoal Lake and that these waters are cared for by First Nations. Notre école est francophone en milieu majoritairement anglophone de la Colombie-Britannique à Vancouver.
Our school is mainly Francophone on a mostly Anglophone on an unceded territory of
on the unceded territories of the Musqueam Nation.
Je remercie le comité Vérité.
I will want to thank the Committee of Truth and Recognition to help us. As a woman, I'm proud to talk about the history and the tradition of First Nations. My great-grandfathers and my grandfathers are survivors of residential school. We forgot our culture and we cut the generational trauma. So thank you to this Committee of Truth and Veritation.
To decolonizing our school. Me as a Plains Cree woman, I'm proud that we talk about Native culture and traditions. My great-grandparents and my grandparents are survival of residential schools. We have forgotten our culture, but we have finally cut our generational trauma. Our committee helps me find my identity. Thank you.
Depuis quelques mois,
for a few months, the Committee of Truth and Reconciliation are planning an event with a goal to enlarge the knowledge of First Nation people in our school. And we decided that the event could take place during the week of Truth and Reconciliation in September, and that the workshops will be offered to all students from the 7th grade to 10th grade.
Has been planning an event to broaden students' knowledge on Indigenous people at our school, Jules Verne Noshwayam. We've decided that the event will take place during the Reconciliation Week in September, and that workshops will be offered to students in grades 7 to 10.
we hope to have 5 different activities. So Claire and Zoe will actually do the weaving part, and we will do the recognition of the medicine plans of Columbia and what to do with it, and then we'll have um, per, the beading actually, and we have also the mother of a student that will do a presentation on reconciliation, and all students will contribute to the creation of a mural that will actually be present in school will be in school permanently. There will be also the presence of an elder during the course of our event.
Next, Amalia and I will teach the recognition of plants native to British Columbia and how to make your own tea with them. Then there's going to be the beading activity hosted by Zoe's mom and her friend. We're also lucky enough to welcome the mother of a student from Nushwayam School, who will be giving a presentation on reconciliation through action. Finally, all the students will contribute to the creation of a fresco that will be permanently displayed at our school. An elder will be present to sponsor the event. Pourquoi sommes-nous un des seuls comités de vérité et réconciliation?
Why are we one of the only truth and reconciliation council in Canada? And our system is actually built on systemic racism against the Indigenous people. So if we don't do anything, this injustice will continue. Can we still accept this?
One of the only Truth and Reconciliation Committee in the school system on Turtle Island, also known as Canada. Our system is built on systemic racism against Indigenous people. So if we do nothing about it, this injustice will continue. Can we accept this? Thank you. Aichka.
Merci Mélodie, Dominique, Amelia, Zoe, Claire et Liam. Je tiens aussi à remercier tous les jeunes qui ont participé.
I also want to thank all the youth that actually were presented the work that they accomplish with the reconciliation with their community and their school.
Each of the young people who received a reconciliation micro grant and who shared with us their work that they're doing to continue to advance reconciliation in their schools and communities. It is our hope that everyone who has attended today's celebration will reflect on the words and work shared by the young people and be inspired by our future leaders. I'm going to correct that to our leaders of today. We look to our leaders and ask that they continue to support the work that begins and to support our young people's reconciliation initiatives from coast to coast to coast. I would now like to ask Spirit Horse Youth Drum Group to sing an honor song for all of the youth here in person and virtually. If you are able, please rise to honor the drum group and our young ones. Thank you to the Spirit Horse Youth Drum Group for that honor song. It has been an inspiring few hours spent together. However, we are coming to almost the close of the Imagine Canada's national celebration. Les quelques heures que nous avons passées ensemble ont été de plus inspirants, mais voilà que nous approchons la terminée de la célébration nationale.
It's been an inspiring few hours together, but now the National Imagine a Canada celebration is coming to the end, and that was my best French.
Celebration in a good way.
Minapego, kipenanas kumitnao, kagipetute, kagipetapmia, kichigegwanegi, wapatamag, mitane, giutsigawapen, iniguk, eminutaguschig, uskatsak, egiskeni taige animutage, comenio, yung reconciliation gaisigatek, tapo eminutagusiog. Niistä peki mä sinä ikantaan Sugar Falls itsigaateo. Mutta kaikki siitä kaikki atse muana nema 2011 kaikki paski tepanik. Ako misue schooli kami ko kindergarten school yo university apasita ni wana nema umayo nema sinä ikantaan atse mun. Ewa nakataman generations. I am so very grateful to have been a part of this gathering, this beautiful gathering, honoring our youth for their visions of reconciliation. I learned so much. Very emotional. It really touched my heart. And I just want to thank each and every one of you. Keep up the good work. I do have a story out there. I don't know if you heard about Sugar Falls. It was launched in 2011. It's used in all the schools from kindergarten to university. That's my legacy of leaving it towards my generations. The truth be known, that's the truth that's in that story. It went viral and it was first launched and out of print. Reprinting it again and it's been translated into French. So if you ever have a copy, it's available on YouTube, and it's just a legacy that I leave for all generations, not only for my generations, depicting the truth of what happened, my first experience of the residential school systems that I went through. I'm just so honored to be here today. 76 years old. I never thought I'd be speaking up here in generations upon generations. But I'm so grateful to have this voice, because I didn't have a voice after all those years in the residential schools, because they shunned us for not to speak our languages. On that account, I can't really hear from my left ear, because the nuns used to kick me here for speaking my language, just one word in Cree. I can't hear my left ear, minimal in my right ear. So yeah, that's what happened, and that's the truth. So we are here today to honor our beautiful youth. They're so profoundly rich and talented, because they understand what happened in the past and now, and looking forward towards the future. And may each and every one of you be blessed today, this generation.